Hello you. I am Uvakoria. Try pronouncing that. Project 4. Starting with a design stream as usual. You might be wondering what happened to Project 3. Well, I decided to cancel it. Due to time constraints, really. I realized my 3D modeling skills, especially UV mapping and texturing skills, they weren't quite up to the task of making enough content in that tight deadline. Now, obviously, I could have decided to keep on going and spend an extra month or two on that project, but then I wouldn't get to make the other two. That's the thing with schedules. Better to stick to them, in my opinion. So that's the decision I made. It's dead. But it's not completely dead in the water. I did make a demo of it. It's online at Itch, the usual place. So you can go try it out. It's functional. It's a bit sad. I like the design, but I just can't. I can't make high quality enough visuals to match the ambition. So how are the two other projects any better then? Well, they're closer to the first two. Let's put it that way. Less visual, more about programming, really. The last one is mostly about writing, which I'm really looking forward to. I mean, it's also something I haven't really done much, so I'm just gonna be optimistic for now. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. But let's not move on to that yet. This is the order I decided on. So the next project, Project 4, which we are about to design, kind of, very soonish. It's going to be an interactive simulation about kind of society. Very small group of individuals who interact with each other. And you get to play, well, you get to influence them. Let's put it that way. I've actually only played The Sims for just a handful of hours. And it's not really going to be like that. It's going to be a bit more abstract, maybe. Simpler, obviously. I don't think I can match what 100-some people at Maxis put out in a few years, in just 2 months. But I'll try to put in enough effort to, well, this time, actually release the project and get it finished. In fact, I did already design quite a bit last week. You see, I didn't just cancel a project and then take time off. I started this one already, and I already designed parts of it and prototyped a chunk of it. But who knows, maybe I'll come up with new stuff today. So and who are these individuals? Are they people? No, because people are difficult to get right, because we are all sort of experts on humanity, aren't we? We see something uncanny, and it will indeed be uncanny. So these individuals are kind of, well, kind of mythical or alien or monstrous entities. I have kind of a vision of how they're going to look. They're kind of like Spore, in fact. Limbs and eyes and stuff like that. Kind of randomly. I could randomize that kind of easily. And just make these separate assets and put them in a randomizer, and it's going to puke something out. That would be a fun thing to do. Let's just write that down. It's not really needed, but it shouldn't take too long. And colors, of course. So like that. Less clever than the creature creator, which is really neat. It's the best part of Spore, in case you're wondering. Something much simpler than that. Okay, but what do? The usual thing is to like survival stuff. Like they need to eat and gather food or hunt. Do all that stuff. I think I'll cut it. I think I won't have that. Because then I can concentrate on other things. So they're gonna be creative. That's maybe I shouldn't use that word. It's not like they're gonna be actually creative, but they're gonna make things in the world. And I think they're gonna be magical. So let's just add that in. So they use magic for everything. And they don't need to eat. None of that survival business. They can create art, let's say. Yeah, kind of dance and sing or something like that. Obviously I want to keep the visuals as simple as possible, so that's gonna limit it. And audio visually, of course. So singing might be out of the picture. I don't think I want to record any monstrous singing. Sounds interesting though. Okay, then they're gonna talk to each other. I already have parts of that down. They can talk to each other, ask each other questions, mostly about what they like and who they like, and then aggressive actions. But nobody dies. Because that's, once again, that's maybe I'm just going to be calling them creatures. Maybe they can leave, but they're not going to die because that's a complication. And once again, that's what I like to do when I design things. Just simplify, simplify, simplify until there's only the very core left. There's room for building on top of it, like a solid foundation. Although no one with a hyphen. Okay. Like that. And then form groups. This is important. This is really important because once again, I haven't played The Sims a lot, so I don't know if that happens in there, or if it's only individual to individual activities. But forming groups, there's something to that. I think it's a fine idea. It's going to be complicated. So right now I've already implemented a very simple version of it, where an individual, I'll show it soon enough, but an individual can follow another individual and kind of act with them, support them, but It's not quite what I had in mind. Anyways, this is a bit of a question, open question. I like how it sounds, but that's like the basis of it. And the actions are, of course, the actions that they choose. Actions based on their opinions. And once again, I'll try to keep the amount of things to a minimum. Kind of like in Save the Cities. It's good that I can remember the names of the projects that I've made. Like in Save the Cities, I originally had, characters and buildings, and then I just dropped the buildings. Well, guess what? Why? I don't need them. So I'm probably not going to go for many or even any things, just creatures. That's more interesting, I think. They're just dealing with each other. Anyways, they have opinions of each other, they know certain things about each other, and then they're gonna act upon that. But also act upon their traits. Opinions and traits. Currently, I've thought about the following traits. So first a few positive ones. The social, empathy. Then there's creativity, which is neutral. And then there's the negative ones. So, let's go for vanity. Might be egoism too, and then aggression. So these are the ones. Well, I have a proper document of this, so I don't really need to keep it. And why didn't I do that before? These traits are the driving force. A creature who's only aggressive is not going to choose any of the social actions ever on their own. You can look at the traits of a creature and you can kind of know what they're going to end up doing. But these can change. Like that. So this should be the interesting bit. The reason why you would like to interact with this simulation is that it's not just, let's say, 5 characters who are all the way they are and they're never going to change, but they do change. So you might start in a situation where 2 characters or 2 creatures don't like each other, but then over time they change their opinions for some reason. And it could be because you caused that to happen. So it's not just a world of creatures you can follow around and look at and marvel at the few things they can do. No, you can interact like the medium suggests. It's not a mere simulation; it's an interactive simulation. So we have interactions. Let's just say player interactions, because obviously the creatures are interacting with each other all the time, and the world a little bit. So what can the player do? Currently, just a single thing, which is whenever a creature is about to make a choice, the player can make that choice for them or influence the choice. So you can see in the prototype in a moment how that happens, how that works. I have this kind of clear idea of the user interface, so I hope it falls into place. And yet another open question is if that influence how it affects the character, other than, oh, they did something now. So if we have a maximally aggressive character who normally wouldn't help anybody, but then somebody comes in and asks for help, and their default is no, and then you choose yes, then how does that affect the aggressive character? Are they going to become less aggressive? Because now they ended up doing something that's less aggressive, or are they going to become even more aggressive because now their aggression was kind of shoved aside for a while and now it's suppressed and it's just gonna come out even worse. So I'm not sure how that should work. But it should... there should be a way for these characters to change, though. Because if somebody... well, why are they maximally aggressive anyways? That shouldn't happen, right? Maybe I should look into some real-life psychology studies about these kind of things. I have a feeling that people... Obviously, this doesn't need to be realistic in any way. That's why... Well, I said this in the last project, which was cancelled, that it's great that I can make any kind of worlds I want. They don't need to be realistic. The problem wasn't not realism, the problem was fidelity. So here, once again, I would like to keep the fidelity. In this case, that would mean the specificity of the actions. I want to keep them very abstract. That was a weird tangent. I nearly forgot where I was. I'm totally not going to go for realism. So I'm going to have these creatures for that specific reason. But it might be useful to look at some studies. And I have a feeling that in real life, people, if you leave them to their own devices, they won't really change. Like they think, and I think, obviously, I'm basing this on my own, the way I've been before, I guess, is that people just tend to think that they're just fine. There's no need to change. So if nothing from the environment is exerting pressure on this individual to change, to maybe reevaluate themselves or to do something else than they usually do, then they're just not going to do it. Which might have something to do with, well, laziness, basically, conserving energy. Why would you try to change your rhythm if you don't need to? So that's kind of my take on it right now. But I should do some research on that. And I can choose, luckily, I can choose for this simulation, I can choose whichever way. Maybe they change, maybe they don't change on their own. Maybe they maximize on their own. Because these are magical creatures. Maybe because magic is very ingrained in them. Maybe it's trying to maximize on their own. And it's only the world and the interactions they have with each other that's going to keep those things in balance. Which kind of would explain why this is my own world I'm creating, but why in fantasy, for instance, why there are these terribly powerful evil creatures. Well, because the evilness kind of corrupted them, just on their own. It's not even that they were wronged for a long time by a whole lot of other beings. No, there's just evil just got its hooks on them. Maybe something like that. But that's about the scope of the project right now. It might not be enough. I hope it is. And obviously this is expandable. Because, well, there's a set amount of traits, but the amount of actions might be 10, it might be 20, it might be 50. Let's talk about the technical aspects. I don't have any kind of complex system or framework that would deal with a variety of actions or anything like that. I'm just going to make a custom system. Very simple. And then see how it goes, basically. So I've made in the past, I made a few AI systems, which I've entertained the notion of trying them later, but it would be great if I didn't need to. Mostly because that's more complexity, and more complexity in a short project can spell doom, can cause so many bugs that I can't fix them all, and not really give much of a benefit. It's always useful to run a little bit of a threat assessment or benefit analysis or whatever the official term for that is. But more on that when I get to it, I guess. So let's look at the prototype. So I've put about 3 days into this now, which explains, of course, the very temporary things. Hello there. I'm just gonna change that. It does not look professional to have ASDs around. It's my favorite way of filling a temp space to just do that. But not today. Oh, there it is. There are 3 characters or creatures. 3 creatures, and then they wanted to talk. Or this character wants to talk with the other one, so we can wait. And then they chose yes, apparently. What do you think of support magic? Well, let's just choose I love it. There we go. So now nothing changed, right? So this character wants to... Oh, can I help him with something? Sure. Attack someone. Let's just go create some art. Yes. Oh, wait a minute. That was weird. Okay, so that was a little bit of a bug. I can pause too. So this character called CA is now creating art, and the AC is in group with them and helping them out, so to say. Actually, they aren't doing anything right now, they're just following them. But then that happens. So they are a bit too chatty at the moment, they just want to talk to each other all the time. Yes, the camera works, which is something I ripped from a previous project. I'm not sure, it was going to be pretty small, but it's nice to have total control of the camera. If you have to move the camera, give the user total control. So you can let them do things on their own. You can take an interest in one of the characters. You can try to guide them to do things your way, or you can just look at them. That's the whole point. There's going to be new creatures coming in, some creatures leaving, so it's going to kind of keep changing sometimes. And that's why it would be kind of nice to have some kind of bigger goals for them too, because just looking at them do things like this. Oh, let's see what they answer here. Oop, oh right, yeah, I should have fixed this. There was a bug. There's a bug with the automatic answering system. So now everything broke. Great, let's try again. That's the thing with custom prototype code. It's a bit messy. Yes, attack someone. Sure. And now it should happen. There we go. Thanks for the help. And then they attacked the other person too, so if they're not dead, they're resting. Right, so that's kind of the thing. Like, that would not have made any sense if these were people. Like somebody helps you assault somebody and then you immediately assault them back. But one thing I would like to simulate is kind of psychological effects like fear or envy or anger or... Well, these are all very negative. I guess there are positives too. Then again, drama is interesting, right? So I'm not sure if I have time for that. Oh, it broke again. Right. It's not great. It's not great. It's a proof of concept. But that's how the user interface works. So there's going to be thought bubbles and you can choose which one is going to become an actual spoken sentence. I mean, these people, these creatures might demand things out of each other, for instance, or ask nicely, or those sort of things. Do those sort of things. Right. Long-term goals. I mean, those would most certainly require some things, I think. So they might want to build something together, create something together, maybe steal something from somebody else, stuff like that. But when things are introduced, it's just complexity just skyrockets. For instance, stealing. I mean, the act itself is very simple, but how do these creatures react to it? That's a whole lot of complexity, and at that point, yeah, I'm not too keen on things. I'd rather just have the creatures. But that's the prototype so far. That's the whole project really. I haven't thought about it any further than that. I think just like with the first two projects, things just kind of fell into place. So let's look at the last thing. Let's look at the schedule. Right. So these are. So this is project 3. This is where well, technically Tuesday is when I cancelled it. So I'm just gonna copy these. Oh, all of them. Okay. There we go. Ah. Background color. Today is 9th. Already. Oh, of course. So here started this project. Prototype of 3 days, and today I'm gonna start. I guess it's the alpha. I guess. Let's see how many weeks. Not audio. Let's have 4 weeks. That is release week. I guess release should be there. These are also in the wrong place. Okay, so 3 weeks. Because it's only 9 weeks. I'm trying it again. It works so great with building buildings. So usually the last one is audio. And here we said, say, world graphics. At 1 week for a one world. Right, that sounds terrible. Looking at what happened to Project 3. But this is 2D. I guess I should stress it. 2D graphics. That's important. Okay. So how about the alpha? So the things I need. I need a user interface. So the last week, let's say menus and then user interface. Okay, that's only 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. That's why I would rather not have more features. Because I already have all of these in very basic form in the prototype. That didn't take a lot of time to put in, but to get it right, now that's different. That's always different. There's the appearance generator. Is that a graphical task? It is programming though. I'm just gonna say it's a graphical task. It shouldn't be too hard. Although animations, oh dear. Animations. Oh dear. That's not a lot of time. Always with push. 3 weeks. Well, one thing is the magic system. Whatever that's gonna be. Probably just hurling fireballs at each other and making some shields or whatever. It's mostly a visual thing. It's kind of integral to the idea. Kind of. The thing I need to get right this week is basically this stuff. They affect actions and actions themselves. I need to make them. Say creature status. So basically so it's not just that the creatures choose things based on how they are, but the things that happen to them also change and affect how they behave. So, like sadness and anger and those things. That's pretty tight. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. I usually do. And obviously these 2 last weeks are pretty... well, I don't know. It's 1 week isn't a lot of time. That is something I've learned this year. Especially when I am trying to make something I haven't made before. So when it comes to interactive simulations, I've actually never finished one. I've started many, and then realized this is super complicated. It's going to take me too much time. I'd rather work on something else. Make multiple smaller things than a single big thing. That's also why I'm rather excited about this one, because it's going to be 9 weeks. I have a very simple idea. It sounds a bit complicated in the technical side of things, but in the end it's a very simple idea, and I hope that I can both simplify the design and still keep it interesting. Because if it's not interesting, it's kind of... And it can't be obtuse. I tried a title called Creatures. I tried the first one and the second one. It's from the 90s. At least it looks like that. I didn't actually check. It's pretty old. It kind of has a similar idea. It's you groom these creatures and they do things on their own, but the user interface is so obtuse that I didn't really bother with it. Also, technical issues. It's so old that it barely runs on a modern machine. So I don't want that to happen. I want the interface to be so simple, so clear that it just works. Yeah, it just works. That's an important quote to keep in mind. Oh man, like I got all these things done. This is the problem. So yes, I'm not going to have that problem in this project. 2D visuals, I've done that before. Let's just color them. It's always cool to to design some kind of a very robust and, I'm looking for the right word, modular system that, well, both for me as a developer but also for the player to mess around with, to combine things maybe. But if that's not the main feature in a project made in 9 weeks, then it's just gonna have to go. Like I can't make a side feature to be like that, to be that complicated, or put that much effort into it. So it has to be like this. 1 week isn't enough for that. So it has to be something utterly simple. And I need to look up synonyms for simple and complicated. Complex and... yeah, I'll just do that. That's about it. That's the schedule. So one last thing is streaming. Right there. I think I can now that I've already off the schedule, I finished the prototype and all that. I'm gonna stream every 2 weeks. Why not? And then maybe here too. I think I should have done this from the very beginning, to have a very rigid streaming schedule, because with the first project, it's 2 streams, kind of back to back, then 4 weeks before the next one, then 4 weeks before the next one, and then another one right afterwards. That's a bit silly. I don't need to stream based on these milestones. I can just stream. Okay, so there we are. Sounds very simple, which is a good sign. Just like building buildings. That schedule. That schedule is here. It's very simple. Project 2, there's the prototype. Make some rooms, make some levels. Also these, I should update the name. They are elements. So make some elements, make some levels, menus, of course, and then the graphics. Audio. And I managed to release it right on that day. I mean, well, one of these days. I actually forget which one. But that was perfect. And I want to emulate that. Especially after this. I shouldn't call it a disaster because I chose to cancel it, but yeah. was unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I had high hopes and high expectations, and was maybe a little bit too confident when it comes to 3D graphics. Not this time. 2D graphics is the way to go. That's about it, really. I hope it'll go better. I hope I can finish it, because then I could actually show people that, hey, I've made an interactive simulation actually. It works. This is also a tablet-friendly design again, unlike a first-person fly around, take pictures thing. This will work just fine. Those are good points. I'm glad. I am glad. That's it for today. It's been an hour, which means it shouldn't take too long to cut the video and push it out and make the project page and put something on Twitter or whatever. And that'll be the day. Yeah, maybe I should start thanking people. I've never done that. I don't really have a closer, as they say in the video business. Maybe I don't want one. Well, I'll think of something for next time, so stream over. Farewell.